Hello students, welcome to the Eternal Easy Education channel. In this session you are going to learn chapter 8, Forms and Files. Content of the session is basic HTML form controls, client validation, server validation. What are the basic HTML form controls? Text, buttons, checkbox, radio box, file select, form tag. So these are the HTML form controls. I hope you can recall your 11th standard where you learnt all the controls with the example. Now I am going to show one example with these controls. As you know, you have to start exam server before you run your PHP program. Go to the browser, http://localhost followed by the file name. I am having a file with the name formcontrols.html. So in this form, this is student name followed by a text box. In the text box, we can type the content, email. So we can give our email address in this text box, followed by gender. Can you see the round? This is the option or radio button. What is the use of radio button? A form can have any number of radio buttons, but the speciality is the user is allowed to select only one. So we have to decide where we have to use this control. That means radio button control. If it is a question of gender, the person has to select either girl or boy. We should not allow to select both. So in this situation, we can select the form control as option, like the marital status, whether married or unmarried. In this phenomena, where we requires only one object should be selected by the user, means we have to select the radio button form control. Sometimes there may be a situation to ask a question like, what are the subjects going to be learned by the student? Here the student can select many number, means nearly 5 to 6. So here we are selecting a form control as checkbox. So checkbox means it will allows multiple selection. Radio button allows only single selection. This is said to be list box, city or town. Here there are given a list. Among the list we have to select a content. This box is said to be text box or text area. Text box means single line. Text area means multi-line. So I can type multi-line content using text area control box. This is said to be the button, submit button, clear button. Clear button will clears the content which is given by the user. Submit will submit the content, and that submitted content is validated or maintained by the backend program. So these things we are going to learn in this video. First we must know what is form control. Form control is the thing what you learnt in the HTML. These are said to be the form control. Text box, radio button, checkbox, list box, text area, submit button or clear button. Apart from this, many controls are available, but these are the frequently used controls. Is it clear, children? Next, what is PHP and HTML? So what is the link between the two things? Main objective of PHP and HTML form controls are to collect data from users. As you have seen a student entry form, the form is given to the user is giving the data and it is collected. That means these data are gathered. In the web development, user access website or web pages from remote client machine and feed the data to server. That means consider your online application form for a college. So anyone can access that college website and give the data. He may be in Chennai or he may be in Madurai or he may be in Nagarkoi, any place, anywhere. Even in abroad also, they are allowed to open the website and give the data. These are collected via HTML form controls like text box, drop down box and radio buttons, etc. What you have seen before. So the data are controlled through these data are collected and controlled through the HTML form controls and sent to server using server-side programming like PHP. So we are going to see the server-side programming like PHP. So you must know one thing, that is the user is giving the data through HTML form controls. First point. Second point, these data are collected and given and it should be stored in a database. And these things are going to be carried out by PHP. Is it clear? Now, basic PHP form validation. While we are collecting the information, there must be some validation. What is it? Validation is a process of checking the input data submitted by the user from client machine. There are two types of validation available in PHP. What are they? Client-side validation, server-side validation. So first we are collecting the data from the user. Next we are going to validate. Validate means we are going to check the input given by the user. I'll show one example. See an example page here, name, and there is a text box. Here we are going to give the name and here there is a phone number. So we can give a phone number. Then an email address and we are submitting. So it is giving the data as welcome, the person name, the email address and the phone number. For example, consider the person is giving the name but didn't give the phone number and giving the email address. It won't say any error. The phone number is empty. But this is not a proper procedure. It should be validated. That means first all the text box should be filled. That means all the text box must be given, the content must be given by the user. It should be checked. So how to make it? This can be done by HTML coding itself, or else we can use CSS. CSS for formatting the form. JavaScript can be used for validation. Here I'll show an example with HTML alone. We can write the checking process in HTML itself. Sample. Here the person is giving the name. Phone number is not given, email is not given. Just submitting the button. Can you see this? Fill out this field. That means without filling the text box, the person cannot submit the form. For example, he is filling this form, but he is not giving the phone number. So it is not checked. So there must be some validation to check the content. Here, if the number is given directly without any hyphen, it will say the error. Because the default format is given in the field, the number should be given based first 3 digit, then 2 digit, followed by a hyphen, then 3 digit, then the email address. So we can easily set the validation. Conditions should be followed while giving the data in the client form. This is said to be the client form. This is here the data is given by the user. This place is said to be client page or user page or front end. Is it clear, children? First, the form controls are used to collect the information. Next, the information should be validated. That means it should be checked. There are two types. One is client validation, another one is server validation. Client validation means checking the content in the page itself. The coding will be here itself and it will check. This coding is written by HTML, JavaScript, which are the scripting languages supporting server-side validation are used to check the data in the form itself. That means this data is not connected with the database. It is only in the form, and checking also done in the form, that is in the front end itself. I'll explain again. Client validation, that is client side validation. Before sending the data to server side program, the programmer can write few validations from browser in the client machine. That means you writing checking process using HTML or JavaScript. For this validation, we have to add additional required attribute in the HTML input tag. What is this? I'll show you. See this program, form action welcome.php. We'll see this one by one. Now just you know the validation process alone. Form, I hope you will remember all the form controls will be within the form tag. Form and end form tag. Name followed by input type text name. BR, that means 2 space. Next line, next line. After that, phone number, enter phone number, type, ID, name. These are the attributes. Input is the tag, type, ID, name are the attributes. So in this form, we didn't give more attributes. Only the type is text, means it should be in the text format. Name means name, it's a variable name which is going to be used for programming. That means when the content in the text box name is used for some other place, means it is fetched through this name. We'll see one example also. Just see, there is an input type text, another input type text, another input type text. That means 3 text boxes. One is for name, one is for phone number, one is for email address. There is no validation process. You see this same program but with validations. First validation is here, then name followed by required. This is the attribute. When we add this word, we cannot submit the form without giving the name in the text box. Again, phone number. Here the phone number pattern is given. So the placeholder is an attribute with the pattern. So when the user is submitting the phone number, it should be in a pattern which is given here. And the 3 digits, first digit, second digit, third digit, everything should be 0 to 9. So we can set a validation like this. So setting a validation in the front page in the HTML form itself is said to be client-side validation. Then what is server-side validation? After the submission of data, validations are performed on the server side using the programming like PHP, ASP or JSP, etc. available in the server machine. So what this server-side validation is going to be done means, here the data is going to communicate with the database. We must know this concept, PHP basic form handling. We are telling that PHP is used for server-side validation. Then we are going to learn how it is going to done. First we learned form controls, then client-side validation, server-side validation. Client-side validation is done using HTML itself. Server-side validation can be done by the PHP. Now you are going to learn a hint, a small thing, how a PHP is doing that. Server-side validation. When the user keying the input data in HTML controls and click the submit button, the request will be generated and reaches a PHP file which is mentioned in the form tag under the action attribute. I'll show this. All input values are synchronized and sent to the server via post method or get method. This is important. First one is when the data are given in the HTML form, while we click the submit button, the control is given to a PHP file. Is it clear? The control is given to a PHP file. After that, how to give this control over to the PHP file means using the action attribute. All input values are synchronized and sent to the server via post method and get method. This is very, very important. The method is an attribute. Action is an attribute. Method is an attribute. Once the data reaches the server, two PHP variables such as $_post variable, it is a predefined variable given in the library. $_get collects the data and prepares the response accordingly. So, how the PHP is going to control the data or validate the data? Using the attributes action and the method post and get. What is post method? The input data sent to the server with post method is stored in the request body of the client's HTTP request. What is get method? The input data sent to the server with post method via URL address is known as query string. All input data are visible by user after they clicks the submit button. I show this. Post method and get method. Get method is not a secured method because the data given by you is shown in the URL bar or URL address bar. But in the post method, it is not given. That is the difference between the post method and the get method. We have to use post method for security purpose. This is the HTML page where the name, phone number and the email address are given. Is it clear? Here, this HTML page must be communicated with the or connected with the PHP. How to connect? Using this line. Action, that means attribute. The action attribute should have a PHP file. In this PHP file, we are going to write the PHP coding to validate the content. Next one is method equal to post. This is used because the content in the URL should not be a visible thing for the others. The hackers will easily take the data if the method is get. So post method is recommended to send the data securely. Is it clear, children? First, client page. Client page is done with the HTML form controls. Client validation is done by the HTML itself. PHP also can do client validation, but HTML is meant for client validation alone. So client validation is done by HTML, and to connect the HTML and the PHP, we need this action attribute and the method. In the action attribute, we have to mention the PHP file to which this HTML file should be connected. Then the method must be always in post because for the security. Is it clear? So there is a HTML page and it is going to be connected with the welcome.php file. Now we will see what is in welcome.php. This is the file. Here the word welcome. This is the programming line. The main content is, see this, PHP echo $post. This is the predefined variable. This variable fetches name. What does this name means? This name. So this name. Okay. This name variable is given by this. Next, email. Here given the name as email. So it is taking the name as email. For example, if it is student name, if it is student email, that means S name, S email. Then here also you have to change as S name, S email. Okay. Save. Here also you are saving the file. So this $post variable is fetching the data from the HTML form control. This file name is client page. So I am running the program. Client page.html. Here giving a name as, here no validations. Submit. So the content given in the HTML is taken by the PHP file. Is it clear? You understood how the HTML file is connected with the PHP file using the action and the method post with the variable $post. I'll show a pictorial representation. Front end, back end. Front end is the form which is used by the user. Here the coding is given by HTML, CSS, JavaScript, etc. Next, the backend is the database. Here the database control is done by PHP, ASP, JSP, even Python, etc. So the HTML file is accessed by the user. This is said to be client-side validation. From the HTML file, the content is transferred to the PHP. From the PHP file, it is given to the database. To and fro transformation. This is said to be server-side validation. Actually, PHP can do client as well as server-side validation. I hope you understood the concept, children. Thank you. Have a good day.